Hello everyone, my name is Ashish Dubey. I work at Grofers where I lead continuous delivery practices. Today I'm going to talk about how continuous delivery at Grofers evolved as we adopted Kubernetes for managing our application infrastructure. And through this talk, I hope that the ideas that I share will be helpful for those who might find themselves in the same similar journey, and also get feedback from those who have seen similar problems but would solve it in a different way. So this is where we started. Back in the day, we had split our consumer monolith into microservices for the obvious benefits, but we could never really redeem them because of tight coupling between services, which meant that very often the changes cut across different services. We had to test them together and they couldn't be deployed independently. We had a we had a staging environment which we provisioned using Ansible and Packer because Ansible is what we used to deploy these services on EC2. And for anybody who has worked with Ansible and Packer before could guess that building container images using this would lead to a very slow and brittle workflow. And all of this slowness and fragility very often led to disruptions in our testing and release cycles. So in the hopes of solving the staging issues that we had, we turned our attention to Kubernetes. What we essentially cared for is having ephemeral environments so that we could enable teams and individuals to spin up their own staging environments on the fly and ensure that stage is as similar as possible to production to avoid the risk of config drifts and unrealistic test results. We started moving some of our applications to Kubernetes and built a tool for creating dev namespaces, which would allow devs to deploy their applications in isolated namespaces in Kubernetes, and also change their application configuration on console independent of each other, which would really help them test their applications faster and without really affecting the testing of other developers. Sorry, I missed something. Yeah, so with these with this tool and with these environments that we had, we started building Jenkins pipelines, which would basically create this environment and run the application in those namespaces, and then let developers also run the tests against those applications. And as you can see, there's this pipeline screenshot which I have included here. And this is what a typical pipeline with this workflow look like. And this actually helped a lot because we could run this pipeline as part of the CI on every pull request that the developers raised, and there was no manual intervention, and the developers would get results very fast and by default because it would run on every push on every PR. And as we had enough of these Jenkins pipelines, more and more teams adopted them. While that was a great outcome, it also brought some maintenance challenges with it. We started seeing a whole bunch of pipelines being replicated across different projects, which was great in a way because there was an inherent standard that was being established. But it also made making common changes across different pipelines much harder. For example, if you were to change the reference to a secret in a pipeline, and if that was a sweeping change across all pipelines in Jenkins, it would be very difficult for us to like just find it across all the pipelines at Grofers and replace it. While we could do that, there was a lot of testing and reviewing overhead involved, and that was something that was not desirable. And also because we were trying to get everyone to use one shared Jenkins, it also came with its own scaling challenges because well, we had to make sure that all these pipelines are running without any wait times, and the workers are scaling up and down as the workload increased. And we also had to make sure that one team's um, one team's workloads are not starving other teams' workloads. Although one can solve these issues using different deployment strategies with Jenkins, um, but we were trying to look for a different route here. To counter some of these challenges, we tried standardization of Jenkins jobs, trying to centralize some of the implementation of commonly used parts using Jenkins shared libraries. And as a result of that, we were able to see a lot of simplification in the developers' workflows. We also had a way to roll out common changes across different pipelines instead of making changes in each and every pipeline. And this made a lot of sense to us because it was decreasing the overhead of maintenance on on both ends, both developers workflow, and for us who are the maintainers of this platform. And yeah, so we saw that as a successful initiative. And talking about simpler Jenkins file, this is the change that happened to one of the 15 services that became our target for shared library experiment. As you can see, this is a big diff. A lot of the things that were replicated across these 15 services in our consumer tech ecosystem, they were basically reduced to using a simple Jenkins shared library. And this shared library, of course, included uh, this implementation on our end, but developers didn't have to care much about it. Of course, there were ways to customize this. They could add more stages before and after this stage, or the shared library also involved it also included certain configuration parameters, like one could one could uh, one could change the commands that a service needed to run unit tests or stuff like that. So while we saw some good results from the standardization of pipelines, before we decided to scale it up further, we wanted to look at the possibility of using a K8s native CI/CD tool. This was due to the fact that while shared libraries worked very well, they were still quite imperative, and we saw that it was becoming complex to maintain them. Um, and and we wanted to see if we could simplify that, because eventually what we would want is the developers also gaining enough context about these shared libraries, and having a co-ownership, having these co-owned by the dev teams and the platform teams. And on the other hand, we were also trying to standardize the K8s infrastructure across different applications at Grofers. And K8s native CI platform wouldn't only simplify the Jenkins issues that we had, but also line up well with the rest of the developments happening across our infrastructure. And the dev teams across Grofers wouldn't have to focus on different paradigms to manage their pipelines and application infrastructure. They just have to learn one thing and not different things for their application infrastructure. Not having to learn Kubernetes for application infrastructure and Jenkins for managing their pipelines, which in itself is quite a task. And with the hopes of achieving these, we started evaluating some tools like Tekton, Argo Workflows, and Jenkins X. So while all the tools that we evaluated are pretty amazing, there were a couple of reasons why we picked Tekton over the others. First of all, we put aside Jenkins X because, in our understanding, while it was a very nicely combined suite of best practices, it seemed like an all or nothing system for us, because in our case, only CI/CD is what we needed, as our projects were not really ready for full GitOps adoption. And uh, Jenkins X tries to enforce these practices right from the onset, and we saw that as a challenge. Again, this could be different. This could be different from our understanding, but that's what we were. This is what we were working with, and that basically led us to compare Argo workflows and Tekton head to head, in which we favored Tekton mainly for three reasons. Um, First of all, the Tekton provided us purpose-built CRDs for composing pipelines, which makes it easy to visualize CI/CD pipelines and its building blocks, because instead of a generic workflow, you're thinking in terms of pipelines and tasks, and that seemed really useful. Secondly, Argo seemed like a stellar choice for data engineering use cases, which seemed to be the dominant use case when we looked at the community. Tekton community, on the other hand, was talking all about CI/CD, which was kind of comforting for us, um, in a way that we were able to get help more easily on our CI/CD use cases. But on the other hand, with Argo, where most of the people that we talked to, they saw Argo as a tool for orchestrating workflows which deal with a lot of data from different components. So yeah, that was another point in favor of Tekton. And then lastly, because there were purpose-built resources, we also saw that the UI was structured in a way which felt closer to home, I would say, for folks coming from Jenkins, because instead of having a UI where you have all a flat list of workflows, um, you had a view of pipelines, and in each of those pipelines, you can basically look at the pipeline runs, which was not exactly like Jenkins, but closer to Jenkins as compared to Argo, at least. So those were the reasons mainly why we went ahead with Tekton as something that we would try to platformize for developers to use as a CI/CD platform. So regardless what we picked as our tool, we had some very clear goals when it came to CI/CD platform, and those applied to Tekton now. First of all, we learned from our Jenkins shared library experience that standardization was a very good idea, and we wanted to do more of it. We wanted to make sure the adoption is easy, allowing devs to quickly bootstrap their pipelines and not worry about too many details. And we also we also wanted to make sure the maintenance is easy, maintenance of the pipelines. A part of this was standardization, but the key part of key part of this was also abstracting away the standard bits, like which secrets to use or what kind of volumes to provision as workspaces, and allowing the developers to reuse those details across different pipelines. And with Tekton, we saw some challenges in achieving this. Uh, First of all, setting up basic CI loop between GitHub and Tekton was very DIY. It's Tekton by design is very simple, and you can build whatever you want with Tekton, uh, which makes it very bare bones, I would say. And you have to figure out for a very simple workflow like this, which was the dominant use case at Grofers, we had to do some figuring out. The second is there was a lot of boilerplate code that we had to write for implementing a simple CI pipeline, which is kind of related to my first point. But beyond that, to mimic our Jenkins workflow, which is basically you get a imagine a simple pull request created. You you create a pull request. Jenkins gets a push event and it runs a pipeline. It before running the pipeline, it sends an event to GitHub saying that the pipeline has started. Then it runs the pipeline, and then once the pipeline has finished, it sends back the results again to GitHub. we had to write a pipeline covering all of these scenarios ourselves, all of these steps ourselves, including letting GitHub know that, hey, a particular pipeline has started running, and then posting the final status back to GitHub. And lastly, there was no pipelines as code support, which means developers could not change their pipelines in different branches and test them out easily, which we believe that Jenkins did very well. So talking about the DIY CI pipeline setup with GitHub, we started with using Tekton triggers to write generic templates to trigger pipelines from GitHub push event, but it was very limiting in a different ways. First of all, we could only test a single pipeline that was mapped with an event lister and a trigger template, which are basically Tekton triggers custom resources. There was no clear way to create a pipeline automatically, which was an issue because we didn't want manual intervention in that process. What we wanted is developers to not care about creation of pipelines, and essentially what we wanted is GitOps for the pipelines, which is somewhat what Jenkins multi-branch pipelines also basically provides us. And that was something that we got used to, and we didn't want to lose that capability. Finally, an extension of these points is that there was no way to easily test changes in a pipeline independently. Let's say a developer wants to change a CI pipeline, maybe add another task for, let's say, static analysis. They couldn't do so easily without making changes to one single pipeline that was active for that project. And that was very limiting for us, because this was a very clear departure, as if you consider the user experience that we provided earlier with Jenkins, and now Tekton, with Tekton, those capabilities were not supported. So we had to find a way to support this. Otherwise, it was a no-go for us. And the way we try to solve these is by moving away from Tekton triggers and using a custom web service that we wrote as a webhook destination for GitHub events. And what this service does is basically listen to GitHub events, say a pull request is created, then this service would create a namespace for that particular PR, and then basically read the .ci folder of that project from which the push event comes, and creates those resources in that namespace, and then finally runs the pipeline for that particular branch. And this is a high level diagram of what it looks like. You can see that the service Tomahawk, which we call it internally, is the push events for branch 1 and branch 2 for service A. It then creates two namespaces and pipelines and pipeline runs with names generated based on a convention. And this worked very well. We were able to realize a workflow which was very similar to Jenkins, I would say. And we could do that with Tekton now. And there was no, this was also, like I said, this was a very major workflow limitation that we were seeing. And after this, we were a little more confident about Tekton, because this was a big roadblock, and we were able to work around that. So now we had an answer for pipelines as code, but what about managing the code itself? Not only did we want to reduce the replication of code, but we also wanted to abstract away infrastructure details, things that didn't matter to developers, like creation of volume for a workspace in a Tekton pipeline. We didn't want developers to worry about that. And we wanted to solve this using standard tools available to us. First, we thought of building our own CRD for this, but fortunately, we decided, we realized that it's probably too early and an overkill to do that. And since code reuse was our biggest aim, we found Kustomize to be a much simpler approach for doing that. We already saw its potential in managing application manifests. So we thought, why not try it with pipelines as well? And it kind of worked. We were able to build and manage some basis for some common use cases and use them in different services. In this example, as you can see, we're building a Hello World CI pipeline for a service called GR service. Um, this basically allowed us to reuse the common code as well as give us enough flexibility to tweak the pipelines as well if needed. And this was because this was customized, the developers didn't have to learn any other tool for managing pipelines. Learning customize for customizing the pipelines would help them manage their application manifest better, or vice versa. So that was very in line with our initial goal for using a Kubernetes native CI/CD platform. So we had at least some answers to our biggest roadblocks for Tekton, but there were some more hiccups that we came across as we started getting comfortable with Tekton. These were mostly a result of our familiarity with Jenkins. For example, deploying a specific branch of a service to a specific namespace was a very common use case at Grofers. Um, for example, if you wanted to test GR service on your own namespace, you might want to manually deploy a particular branch to that namespace. And there was no trivial way to do that with Tekton, because a pipeline run, which is the execution context of a pipeline, has to be created with certain basic requirements like a workspace with a proper volume. This we thought was too much to expect from developers to do. And the way we try to solve it is by creating a / command on Slack, which they would use to deploy, which they could use to deploy any branch of any project to any namespace by simply specifying those parameters in the / command. And this was well received by the developers, and it actually happened to be even easier than the Jenkins workflow, which seemed, and it was quite easy to build. So this again helped us realize that while there are a lot of things which we have to do ourselves to use Tekton, it also made things. It was also quite easy to move move uh, move across our problems to solve them. Meaning, because a lot of these pipelines, they are simply Kubernetes resources, and eventually containers running in pods. Uh, it was easy to realize any kind of workflow quite easy, quite fast. And another problem that I would say still struggle with is the Tekton dashboard being too slow. Due to how it's designed, it basically fetches the Kubernetes Tekton resources directly from the Kubernetes API server, and due to that, it doesn't support proper pagination, which means that no matter how often or periodically we clean our old resources, there were always, given that we had hundreds of pipelines running each day, there were always enough pipelines or resources to make the dashboard respond slowly. And apparently, Tekton community is working on Tekton results project, which hopefully should make it easier, I would say. But yeah, all that we can do is wait for that. So yeah. So where does all this leave us? To conclude, I'd say we've seen major improvements in our delivery and development workflow since we started. Our cycle times have reduced and deployments are much more safer. We deploy more frequently, and the chances of a deployment breaking in production are much lower. Several things along the way didn't work the way we wanted them to. For example, while staging environments that I talked about, they're easy to spin up. They're also not 100% reliable and at times very slow. And while we've done a bunch of things to simplify Tekton, it still hasn't reached its adoption potential because it's still very new for us. There's room for simplifying a lot of things further. But all of these things have moved us forward on the road of continuous improvement, and they've allowed us to run more experiments to figure out better workflows. I found a very apt tweet by Kelsey Hightower recently, which says there's no single continuous integration or and delivery setup that will work for everyone. You are essentially trying to automate your company's culture using bash scripts. And that's exactly what we are here to do. Thank you.